I know you hate this shallow prick, but I gotta open the video up like this and let briefly that the LMS triad and achievement of it is essential in modernity. And what's the LMS triad? It's looks, money, status. It's LMS, right? And it's really the new normal. And you can see that so many people nowadays are becoming famous and got a name for themselves. Now, are people hitting Michael Jackson levels of fame? Can that even possibly be replicated nowadays? No, right? No and no. Like, I would argue that people are not hitting Michael Jackson levels of fame nowadays, and that I don't think it's possible to be replicated anytime soon, right? It's going to take, and like, I don't know what type of individual it's going to take to replicate that type of fame, but I mean, you could say maybe, I don't know, Elon Musk or something, but I mean, who's really parading the streets to see Elon Musk? I mean, sure, if he goes outside, I mean, I don't know. I guess his face is not really. See, a lot of people will know the name better than they know the face. I think that's something when it comes to Elon Musk. I think that's probably something that is at play there, where people probably recognize the name more than the face, but the face is kind of, I don't know, maybe has a similar looking face generally to other people as well. But when it comes to Michael Jackson, he just looked very unique. So if you knew the face, you knew the name, sorry, you also knew the face, and there was no mistaking it. And so, yeah, and I mean, there are people who hold that level of similar levels of stature, but it's just not the same. I don't know who we could point to really who holds that level of, I don't know. There's no other musician that really comes close nowadays. And any other entertainer doesn't really come close. Any actors, maybe, I don't know. But I'm not aware of them anyway. Perhaps we're looking more so at the K-pop world. If you're looking at like BTS or something, might be fame-wise modern Michael Jackson levels of stature, but I don't really know. But all I can say is that, looks, money, status is just so essential now. Like, to say it's essential has me looking really has me looking like, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word and it's not coming to me. But it has me looking like a shallow bastard, but it's just the truth. Like, it was okay, I guess, back in the days before the 2000s era, the 1900s, you could go work 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? And you could start off in a low level position just as a, entry level role, work a trade job, and then get all the way up to secretary positions, like pretty quickly, probably within the space of like 5 to 10 years, But I mean, especially if you were one of the best employees there and you were a high achiever, and the money was guaranteed to always be enough to comfortably pay off, all the immediate expenses and bills that you have and outgoings that exist, and on top of that, be able to just live a decent life and have nice different experiences from time to time, like taking trips away, going on holidays, and having good times with the family. As a man, being able to provide for your wife and kids is something that's instilled inside all of us, and for ourselves as well, obviously. And it's a never-ending like search, and a never-ending search that we want to secure. I guess it's never, it's something that's just always in our minds, right? And we have to act on it as much as possible in order to make that a reality. And so, but at least back in the day, things were more secure, jobs were more secure, the economy was more secure, so wages were more secure, even familial relationships and dynamics of relationships between men and women were more secure, because women weren't competing with men, and women were really just doing the womanly things, men were doing the manly things. And yes, women would be left at home for several hours of the day, but that when she's left at home, she's not bending her ass and showing herself towards like the gardener who's sitting outside, because she's inside with the kids, you know what I'm saying? And if the kids are at school, she's just housekeeping and taking care of everything indoors, and maybe the gardener is just outside in the field and keeping, taking care of the garden, right? As it would be his job to, and she's not really paying him any mind unless he needs to eat something. She might cook something for him, but it's casual. It's not like there's no innuendo going on in that interaction. And but nowadays, because women and men can earn pretty much the same amount of money, and sometimes women can get to the money younger and faster than men and more money than men a lot of the times, or vice versa, there's just competition between the genders, and it fucks up relationships. And both people think that they can constantly do better. And, but specifically women, like, men are to blame, I guess, for allowing women to even work and do all of these things and have rights and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, y'all bitches fought for this shit, So y'all got what y'all got now. Don't complain about men not being loyal and not moving like men no more, because it's like, y'all just have an insane amount of power. And it's like, we see the power y'all got. Y'all don't want to give it up for the right dude, then there's no point in being the right dude. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it pays to be a player, being a player back in the day would be pointless, but now it's like, it makes more sense, because seeing as in you can get wrecked in marriage, and women can make things up, and it can go through a court, and a jury can give a positive verdict to something that isn't even all the way accurate or true, and then all of a sudden, as a man, you're just completely destroyed, and you have to like figure out what you're going to do from there. If not, delete yourself or something. So it's just super gynocentric epidemic that we live in. And the women, they run shit, and they're going to run shit for a little bit longer. So as a man, you really just have to there's more fight for us, for those who want to be masculine, and you have to be even more masculine as the society becomes more and more feminine. For me personally, I'm just going to be even more masculine, because that's what I feel comfortable being. It's my natural state. And it was something that I'd suppressed a lot as a child, being more feminine, not like a femboy, obviously not, but like just not being as masculine as I should have been. Now that I'm older, and I guess I'm a full-grown man, it's like it's kicked in, and it's just like, I'm not going back, and I'm not, bending towards these ideals. It just doesn't make sense. And looks, money, status means that you can be the masculine man, right, and still carry some of those traditions and ideals and replicate it just in a more modern way, and you can still have certain power dynamics that are healthy, right, for men and women to have a relationship that actually can blossom over a period of time, and not just be this short little fling because she's in competition with you and compete and comparing you to the next guy. You know what I'm saying? Men don't want that. We don't fucking want this shit, So that's why a lot of us are just like, man, fuck this. We're players, we might tell you we love you, and we might, and we do oftentimes, but we're just not going to commit, because until the way of the world starts to see some sort of balance again, and because right now, most things are in a woman's favor. This is just like facts, bro. There is no right that a man has that a woman doesn't also have. And, there are rights women have that men don't have at all, that men should have. So it's, really complicated and unbalanced, and really in the favor of women overwhelmingly and overarchingly at the moment. And it's something we got to navigate as men anyway. But just to recognize that this is what we're facing in the world, right? And you only overcome this by being as masculine as possible, so that when you do achieve this looks, money, status, when you do get better looking by going to the gym, you get the status by building yourself up on social media channels, you get the money by having a large amount of influence and leverage and leveraging your skills and influence into, finances for yourself. This is where you can flip the table back on its head and just be like, okay, now I've got everything that I need to, be successful and not have to compromise myself in order to, like, be in a relationship or have something more long term with a woman. Because, like, if you don't have looks, money, status, she's just not going to respect you at all. There's always going to be some type of reserve to her character. And I've seen this, and I'm like, I don't want this little reserve that you have. Like, I want to break that mold. So I'm going to get my looks, money, status, and you have to drop your fucking guard, right? Because that's what I worked for. Like, I'm not going to work on my looks, money, and status and go from being a nobody to a somebody just to then become a somebody and still have a bitch tell me about this and that. And it's like, no, you can't tell me anything, because I worked so hard to get to a position to the point where I can make you shut up and you can't say anything, you could back then, because I wasn't, I wasn't worthy of you being quiet for. But now that I'm up, it's like I'm worthy of you being quiet for. So it's just what I expect. And if I don't get it, I'm moving on to someone else who will give me that, because I'm in a position where there are many candidates who will. I just need to do some exploring and find it. That's really just it. The very first one might not, but it's okay. There are, like, billions of others. So, and that's really what it is. Looks, money, status is so important. You can't just get by on the money anymore. It's not the 1900s. It's the 2000s, and there are too many famous people nowadays. There are too many people with a name and different levels of fame. Yeah, sure. There's someone with 100,000 followers and someone with 1 billion followers, but it's still fame regardless. So it's like, it's so common and popular to be famous. It's not like novel anymore, right? So it's something that you should just have to strive to be if you're not already, because you're just at a detriment. You're behind if you're not famous at this point. Like, how are you not famous? I need to be famous. Like, I don't give a fuck. I need to have some level of status and influence, to show that I'm in the game. And on top of that, looks as well. Now that bodybuilding has blown up and it's become the norm, it's in the mainstream, and you have natural bodybuilding competitions along with enhanced bodybuild competitions, and everyone has some semblance of muscle. It's like, you need to be in the gym killing it and crushing it, because everyone can, like, nowadays, most guys can probably take their tops off, and be comfortable with themselves, right? And so it's like, if you can't take your top off and be comfortable with yourself and know that someone's going to find this attractive and someone's going to want to come up and talk to you, man or woman, just based off of you, like, taking your top off in the sun, like when you're on the beach or something in the summer, and start a conversation and start talking about, your physique, or even touching it, then it's like, and if you're not getting results like that, it's like, what are you doing? You need to be working towards towards having those results be a reality for you. Because if it's like, you're only missing out if you aren't doing it. And, so looks, money, status are things that people are now, like, losing their lives over, doing crazy stuff for. And it's like, I don't need to do the crazy stuff. I just know I need to work hard and be myself, and I can get there, right? So that's what this content and really just the story of my life is all about. And, but I'm like, the internet is so important to build that social presence. You can have the money, you could have the looks, you could have a really good job, and you could be in the gym all the time. But if nobody knows who you are, it's like, it's still something missing. You don't have that pre-selection from other people to be like, oh, he's respected. Oh, when he walks around the street, people want to take pictures of him. People want to take pictures with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, you can then choose to be like, okay, I want to take this picture, or I don't. Actually, I prefer some privacy right now. But at least just having that at your disposal and knowing, like, yeah, like, these Motherfuckers want to take pictures of me. Like, it makes you feel like important. It makes you feel like someone, you know. It's a different type of treatment that you get. And I'm shivering right now throughout this video. This video and the previous video, I've been shivering a lot. Because I just got out the shower and I'm cold as fuck. But, you know, I'm warming up a bit. And I had a crazy workout as well. Like my pump throughout my chest and my biceps and my back, bro. Crazy gains, man. I would take my top off, but it's fucking Baltic out here. I can't do that shit, you know? So, but to get back to the video, looks, money, status is really, you have to achieve this trifecta and hierarchy of it. Because if you're lacking in even just one category, like, you know, you're missing 33% of the equation, you know. The looks, money, status is literally 100% or 99.9%, right? And you got each category is a third. It's 33.3%. So it's not good enough to just have the money, you know. Back in the day, the average person would just at least have the money and you could get by. But now that fame has come into play, and now that looks have been blown up out of proportion, you know, plastic surgery is a thing, right? You know, double jaw surgery to fix your recessed, you know, bone structure and maxilla and Botox, you know, all of this stuff, bro. Like facelifts, it's just BBLs. It's crazy the world we live in. So superficial and shallow, but you need to just like be like, you know what, bring it on. Like, bring on the superficialness, bring on the shallow, bring it all on. Like, I'm going to fucking kill that shit then. If that's what you want to, if that's the message, if that's advertising, if this is what you want to shove in our faces, then let me be the face of it then, right? And you just got to put the work in and it's going to come. So I just embraced and accepted this shit because I'm like, it's a game, dude. Like anything, you know. But it's just the game changes all the time and it evolves slightly and it's constantly you know, new things are constantly being introduced and old things are constantly being you know, expelled. So you know, it's only so long you can vicariously live through others and see others be great and do great things until you realize and reach a point where you're like, no, you know what? I want to replicate my own version of greatness, right? And I can take inspiration from those who have done it, right? So my predecessors. So let me just, you know, soak it all up and then you know, publish everything that I've onboarded. So looks, money, status is just so important, you know. And if you don't have this, then you know, your girl is not your girl, right? Without looks, money, status. Your world is not your world without looks, money, status, because you can't just bend things to your will. And this is what looks, money, status will help you do. All of life will just be advantageous and favorable for you with this. And without it, you're going to be in a more disadvantaged position and going to be fighting an uphill battle. And, you know, most people can't run up hills, you know. So really, that's your answer, you know. And yeah.